Welcome everyone to Cinema Regulars, the movie review show where we see so many movies in theaters that the employees know us by name and they don't ask us what movies we're seeing, they ask us how many. Now today we are back with three more movies for you. We are looking first at the new Lilo and Stitch live action remake. Then we will be moving on into the eighth Mission Impossible movie, Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. And then we'll be finishing off tonight with the newest comedy starring Paul Rudd and other guy whose name I don't remember, Tim Robinson.
Tim Robinson.
Friendship.
The 59 burgers, 59 fries, 55 milkshakes.
55. 55.
I said 55.
You said
I said
59.
55.
I have it on camera.
Whatever.
You said
55.
59.
55.
With all that being said, please don't forget to subscribe because it really helps out our channel. We are inching ever so closely to that 1,000 subscriber mark. Feel free to use the timestamps as well in the description below to jump around to your favorite movie or skip ahead just to the rankings if that's all you care about. And without further ado, let us get started in our very first movie of the night, Lilo and Stitch.
Absolutely. Lilo and Stitch is a 2025 American science fiction comedy film directed by Dean Fleischer Camp and written by Chris Kakinokalani Bright
No,
and
no,
Mike Van
no,
Weiss.
Isaac, the summary for the movie, not its Wikipedia article.
I can stream this to you. That is exactly what is in the Google description for this movie. Like, I'm reading from the area that I read in
And the
every
movie
single one of these.
continues to disappoint after the fact.
Like, it literally it doesn't have a movie summary. It just has the beginning of the Wikipedia article.
That is fitting, surprisingly fitting for the movie. So let's address, the Gantu in the room, or the Gantu that's not in the room, first of all. Movie
Oh,
bad.
God.
Movie bad. Very, very
Movie
bad.
bad.
Movie terrible even. Terrible even.
I tried. I tried to give it a shake. I really did, because I like Lilo and Stitch. It's
I
one of my
love
favorite
Lilo and
one of my
Stitch.
favorite. It's one of my favorite Disney movies. I really like it. But it's one of my family's favorite Disney movies. But this movie takes a lot of what was in that last movie and just kind of stomps on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and people could say, like, just saying, "Oh, you're just mad because they changed this and that and the other thing," and I'm like,
They changed the
yes,
point of the
like
movie.
they changed the meaning of Ohana. Like, Ohana does not, not
Yeah,
like
Isaac.
Ohana means
Isaac, what do you
nobody gets
mean?
left
No,
behind or forgotten.
no. Ohana, according to this movie, Ohana means let your little sister become property of the state while you go to San Francisco. Isn't that a much better moral for people to have in life?
Yeah, it's there's a lot that's wrong here. The biggest issue that this movie has, the biggest one, is that so from everything that I can tell, they were going to just make a remake. Like what a remake is supposed to be,
Mm-hmm.
where you make the movie in live action,
Yeah.
where you just do it again a second time. Because they did state that they tried to put Gantu in the movie, it just didn't work. Or
You had the jet ray
they thought
problem.
it was either that or it was, I also heard that it was to cut down on the amount of CGI characters on screen.
Well, if you're not gonna
And
commit to using a bunch of CGI on this, why make your movie's about aliens, dude? And you'd want to
I'm
use as little
saying
CGI
reduce
as
it.
I know, but like, why
Yeah.
make it at that point?
It's why Jumba and Pleakley have the human disguises, so that way they aren't always CGI'd
Right, but if you're
and
not going
everything.
to
And like,
sink millions of dollars into CGI, why remake the movie?
yeah, that's the other thing. This movie has a quite a and what was the budget? Like for a movie of this, it's a pretty low budget. If I remember correctly,
So they had
it
the
was
money.
like the budget. Oh wait, that's the original Lilo and Stitch. See, this is why it's annoying to try and find. the budget for it. $100 million budget. That is actually criminally low for a movie like this.
Yeah.
For them to have as little CGI as they do in this movie, like
That's to
for it to
match.
be that high is abysmal.
It matches the little
Because
effort that they put in this movie.
they could have filmed all pretty much all of the on like in person scenes on location in Hawaii.
Yeah. Did they not?
Like I don't know if they did. Here, hold on. Because I will be honest with you, that scene where they're looking out over everything, it looked kind of green screened in. Uh, was Lilo and Stitch filmed in Hawaii? I guess it was actually. I apologize. It was primarily done on the island of Oahu.
This the one from
But even then,
Wii Sports Resort, right?
but but even then, like so you're not paying to CGI the scenery, and you're not paying to post it in there because you're shooting on location. The only thing that is being added to those scenes is Stitch.
Yeah.
And maybe the special effects stuff when they're fighting and all this stuff. But like it's just Stitch. So what the fuck?
Yeah.
Where'd all that budget go? Zach Galifianakis?
Probably. Which they should have just hired some random Armenian guy or Slavic guy or whatever the hell Jumba's supposed to be. Because that's a travesty in his own right. I don't need white Jumba. I don't like him. He needs to have funny accent. I know
he either needs to have a funny accent or a deeper voice, at least a deeper voice.
I harped on Red Guardian not being funny because his entire character is just ha, he Russian. He say thing weird.
Mm-hmm.
But like that's part of like Jumba's appeal because looking at him in this movie, he definitely has no visual appeal. He's definitely got no character appeal now. And then as a result of not being able to put Gantu, the main villain of the movie, into the movie, Jumba's the villain now. Jumba's the bad guy.
Yeah.
He's not allowed to be part of the family at the end.
So here's the problem is that let me get through this section. You can refute it all you want when I'm done. Fine. You can refute all you like after I say this, okay? Just let me get through it. So, until the movie plays out roughly the same. Roughly as in like fucking gravel road.
Yeah.
But roughly the same until it gets to the part where the councilwoman is like, "Hey, you guys fucked up. Jumba and Pleakley get sent to Earth, all that, whatever." Like, there's still a lot of changes, but the beats are roughly the same till you reach that point.
Yeah.
Where the councilwoman's like, "I'm gonna send Gantu after him because you lost him, you go get him," kind of thing.
Why they send in someone who can get the job done?
Exactly, but from the point and from that on, Gantu becomes the villain because up until that point they're just trying to capture Stitch, and then Stitch ends up he kind of surprises Jumba for what the capacity he has for good, and it creates this nice moment between Jumba and Stitch, and it brings all of them together into the family kind of thing.
Yeah.
But instead, what they because now you have Gantu a unifying force against him because Gantu ends up accidentally taking Lilo, and that's what really galvanizes the rest of the family together to go save Lilo.
Well, it's not like saying he accidentally takes Lilo. It's more like he just happens to take her as well because he even points to her in the glass cage and says, "Look, you even have a snack to take with you."
Oh yeah, so it's not necessarily that he accidentally
gets out.
But yeah,
and it's
but that's what it is. So anyway, Gantu taking Lilo is the galvanizing event that brings the whole family together.
Yeah.
But instead, because they don't send Gantu, they end up needing to have Jumba be the guy that attacks the house and make him be the bad guy, have him threaten to turn Stitch into 627. I
Which
was fucking irate
that's
by that. I will.
that's
That's a
ridiculous.
whole nother thing. That's a whole nother thing that I don't even want to get into because I've ranted about it enough. Like I've ranted into it so much because it completely decanonizes everything else they could do with all the other movies they did.
Yeah.
Like everything else is completely BS now. They didn't
I
want
mean,
that.
I don't
So,
want them
but
to do
now, but
any
now,
more of these, but
true. But now Jumbo was the bad guy. He's no longer in the story. Like the council takes him away, so that completely destroys any chance of any sort of franchise type stuff here, which was what Lilo and Stitch was. It was a whole ass franchise. It has been a franchise for
yeah,
Disney for
it had
fucking
it
ages.
had 4 movies, it had an entire
A TV
TV
series.
series. Yeah.
But so now you have the family being Pleakley, Cobra Bubbles, and then the rest of them. Like
But not
Cobra Bubbles is actually a part of their family.
yeah, not Nani though.
Not really. Oh yeah, but not Nani because Nani had to go to college, and it's like I don't
And somebody
get
pointed
this.
this out to me that
What?
Native Hawaiians get to go to college for free in Hawaii.
Wait, really?
Yes, they get free college if they go to college at Hawaii.
So she didn't even need to go to San Francisco.
No,
The
she
only reason
didn't.
she needed to go to San Francisco was because it was her dream school. The dream school for the dream they invented
Yeah. And I
for
don't
this.
know,
Because
maybe keeping your
what they have
family from
fundamentally done,
falling apart should be a better dream for you, which is the point of the first movie is that like
that's
this
the
is
problem, is that
so in the first
it,
movie, in the original movie, Nani is like what, 17, 18, 19, something like that, 20, very very young, right?
yeah,
She's an adult
20s,
but
I
she's
think,
very young.
is where she is.
Right, so she was not ready or prepared to be dumped with all of the responsibility of being the one to have to raise Lilo. And
She is at least 18 years old in the first film.
right, because she's
Apparently
an
it says,
adult.
yeah.
So and the problem is that she's thrown into this and she's like, okay, I have to step up. I have to be the responsible adult now. And
Yeah.
so she's trying to get a job, trying to keep a job, all while trying to wrangle Lilo in because she's being uncooperative and you know just her. You've seen the movie, you see what she was like,
I
and
know,
I'll
yeah.
touch back on that later. But then they add in Stitch, who's just like a bonfire onto the house of cards that she's trying to build up here, and then that's where all the problems come from. And
Yeah,
to
so
come out on top, putting your family together, not even keeping the family together, but even expanding it into, adding Stitch and Jumba and Pleakley in that, and then coming
yeah.
together and getting what she wanted in the end. Because that
Because
was,
they even build Lilo and Stitch like their own room, and Jumbo and Pleakley move into Lilo's old room.
yeah. So the point, I believe I've seen what they've done here. The college is a replacement for David. Because in the cartoon, David is the thing that Nani really wanted to do, but couldn't because of Lilo and her responsibilities and
Yeah.
having the job. She really wanted to go out with David, but she didn't have time or, a handle on Lilo at the time to do that, which is why she kept pushing them off, and why once everything was fine, you saw the little photo collage at the end. David's in every single one of those. She gets to be with David
Yeah.
now because there's Jumba and Pleakley and the CPS all off their ass because of that.
Yeah.
Like, their family is good now. Like, there's no threat to them now. And in
Yeah.
this movie, they couldn't have that. They couldn't have that. So she has to go live her dream and go to college and let Lilo
And
become
risk
property of the
Lilo
state.
being and risk losing Lilo in the process. Because
No, she did
yes,
lose Lilo in
she
the
is.
process Because
No, no,
if
no. What
that
I
old
mean
lady,
is that
no,
people are sitting here and they're like, "Oh, she's, she didn't lose Lilo because
yes, she did.
like she's in the like." I was even talking to my dad about it, and my dad was like, "Well, she's in the foster care system, but she's not really." And I'm like, "No, she is. Like, if something were to happen to that next door neighbor, Lilo would get thrown back into the system."
Yeah, if the old lady dies, like, sorry, we'll find it before Lilo turns 18. They would have to prove that David can now take care of Lilo and Stitch and be the head of the
Because
household, and
Nani
he's
has
not.
given up her rights.
Exactly, she's given up any authority over Lilo. So Lilo and Nani would not be able to. Nani would not be able to live with Lilo until she turns 18, and then they can do whatever she wants.
Yeah.
But they don't understand how bad this option is. And the reason
Yeah.
is that they wrote themselves into a corner where they prioritized that college thing, and that they got rid of Gantu and changed Cobra. No, it was Cobra Bubbles that was the problem here. So Cobra Bubbles was not the CPS person checking in with them the whole
Yeah.
time, because in the cartoon he's a very like scary and intimidating force. So when he talks to
Yeah.
Nani, he says like, "You have like 3 days to turn this fucking ship around, or I will take Lilo away." And then next time he sees her, the fucking house is in ruins because Jumba fucking destroyed it. And he's like screaming at Nani. He's like, "Do you
Was it Jumbo or
honestly think
Gantu?
it was Jumba?"
Oh, I thought it was Gantu
No, it was
in the
Gantu
in the
didn't
in the
come.
original.
Nope, it was Jumba that destroyed the house.
So I thought that's when Stitch threw the car at Gantu.
He threw the car at Jumba.
My bad. I
Nah,
apologize.
you're
It's been
good.
a while, I guess.
Nah, yeah. Nah, that's the benefit of watching this right before, so that you
Fair
get to
enough.
pick out all the little details in that. Which I'll get to some of the smaller details later. But no, with Cobra Bubbles being the one who's seen firsthand how terrible it was going with Nani and Lilo, just circumstantially,
Yeah.
just because of that, any other CPS person would just shut it down. Like, it would just, and yeah, no. But at the end, with Cobra Bubbles being former CIA and having met the High Council woman before in Roswell,
Mm-hmm.
that brings a circle back to the whole mosquito thing that they set up in they did a joke about before,
Yeah.
and then in the middle, and then at the end he said, "Oh, I convinced her that mosquitoes were endangered," and then that makes sense earlier. But regardless of that, she tells him that uh the family unit
They'll be dropping in.
well, yeah, they'll be checking in, that Lilo and Nani and Stitch, like that family, as the space legal wardens of Stitch's exile, or whatever she said they were
Yeah.
not allowed to dispart. Like, they're not allowed to
Yeah.
break apart. You can't take them apart because they're in charge of Stitch now. And
Yeah.
Cobra Bubbles, being the one who was there, can just say, "Yep, okay, I'll do that. That makes sense." So he will honor that. He'll just tell whoever he reports to that everything's fine and there's nothing to worry about and there's no need to look back there, because
Yeah.
they're not going to come. But Cobra Bubbles, as a CIA agent, posing as a CPS person who's in
As a
charge,
PPS director.
CPS director, who he's not. And then also the smiley lady that they mentioned, she was the one who was seeing how bad all this thing goes. He can't
Either
just
way,
he can't
unfortunately, that lady is the original voice of Nani.
ah uh he's he can't just say like, "Everything's fine here, they're a good family," because she'll just be
Yeah.
like, no, they're not. I've seen everything. It's terrible. The house is destroyed. What do you mean they're fine?" And then she'll send that up the chain of command, and then they'll be like, "Wait, he's not the real director. Who was that guy?" So it comes full circle at the end in the original. Like, that's how, they literally change so much to the point where it doesn't make sense, because in the original
So
movie it's all like planned out, like, this leads to this, leads to this, leads to this, and then it comes to this conclusion at the end, and it makes sense because it all flows
yeah.
like a circuit, right? But the thing is, in the remake, they're trying to remake most of the other beats, as they were in the first one, and then lead it to
Mhm.
something else that doesn't fit in with all the other stuff it was leading up
Yeah.
to. So they had to change so much
I
of it.
so while we were watching it, I actually had a thought of a different way it was going. Even though I had seen something about it where I knew that she was gonna end up in CPS at the end of this. Uh so when the lady comes back, right, after the house has been fucking vaporized, basically.
Yeah.
And like that last scene, uh I thought what would be a good way, like they could have kept everything the same and changed the whole Lilo gets owned by the state thing. Is if in the process of, oh, the house got destroyed and all that, turns out your parents had like this big insurance policy on the house, and now you get all that money, so now you can use that money to pay your bills, rebuild all this stuff. You know, like it would take all the pressure away and she'd still get to keep Lilo.
No, because why would they do
Or at
that?
least it would buy her, or at least it would buy her time to get stuff together, you know? Like they could minimize the house or something, you know, so that way it's not as much or whatever. And like, you know, she could pay off bills, you know, be financially stable for a little while. Like, but no, it's just like, no, you're gonna go live with them so I can go to college.
Yay. And study marine biology. You live on a tropical island. She wants to get further away from the actual marine biology to go study marine biology. The best way to study marine biology in Hawaii is sticking your goddamn head in the water. The
There.
movie starts out with Lilo swimming with a bunch of fucking fish.
Oh, hey, you wanna bring that up?
No, yes, okay. So not only did they race swap the ice cream guy because he was a super sunburnt white dude, which was part of the funny
He's a tourist.
tourist, yeah. So he had like he was just heavily sunburnt the entire time. So they just turned him into a regular Hawaiian guy. Not only that, they race swapped the ice cream. It was
Yeah, they
no
made it a
longer
snow
mid chip.
cone.
They race swapped it to a snow cone. It's not even ice cream anymore. So like, why? And then on top of that, they race swapped their sandwich. It's not even peanut butter anymore, because apparently peanut butter doesn't read too well underwater. And I'm like, what? That doesn't make sense.
I'm sorry. Were they expecting the people to be going to go watch this movie having never seen the original?
Were they expecting people not to understand that there's peanut butter between two slices of bread that are stuck together, and then Lilo says that there's peanut butter on it? Is that too difficult for the modern audience to grasp? They
What's
might
even
they
worse is
might
that
honestly they might think that people have just gotten stupider over the years, because in the original, when Stitch escapes to Earth, the High Councilwoman, she's like, "Oh no,
yeah,
that's fine. That planet's mostly water. He's heading right for the water, and his density is
yeah,
too great. His too great. He'll never survive that." And then it like
yeah.
zooms in and he hits like right the little island. And she's like, "Oh, come off it." And
Yeah.
in in this one,
Go ahead.
she says, "Oh, the Earth's mostly water. His molecular density is too great." And then everyone else on the ship goes, "Huh? What? His malahu? His what?" And she goes, he gets too heavy and he will drown." And they're like, "Oh, me not done think thunk what you say. Word too
Yeah.
big." And I'm like, that was
Um,
not necessary. Kids back then
well, the
just
other thing
didn't
is that
care.
yeah. The other thing is that um they turned Lilo into just a delinquent.
Well, okay, she's kind of a
So
delinquent
here's
in
the
the
thing.
movie.
Okay, but the reason why she's a delinquent in the first one is because A, she's just a little weird, and the parts with the other girls are because they're actively making fun of her and everything, and she's just like upset about that. But the stuff with like tourists and everything, like the parts where she's messing with tourists, that's just the thing Hawaiians will do. They'll just mess with like kids will just mess with tourists.
Yeah.
Like that's just a thing. Uh but like they have her sneaking into this hotel's hot tub and like they even at one point they're like, "Lilo, we can see you. You know you're not supposed to be here." It's
Yeah.
like it's not her messing with tourists. It's her just like fucking about basically.
Yeah, she
Like she
cuts.
releases all the she releases all of the chickens from her neighbor's house or whatever, one of her neighbor's houses. It's like, be free, and it's like that's a man's
That's
chickens.
his
What the fuck?
livelihood, most likely. That's his breakfast.
Like
There's another one. There's
like they just turned her.
there's like a bunch of guys like fishing off a bridge, and she just like cuts the lure off and wears it as a bracelet. I'm like, dude,
Yeah,
that's not like being a little
that's just
quirky, being
that.
a little weird. That's just being a little fucking shit. And I gotta bring this up. I gotta bring this up. I don't like this portrayal of Lilo. It's not Lilo, okay? Because Lilo in the cartoon, she was more like imaginative and well thought out. Like she has like big explanations for things. Like one of the things I noticed right off the bat is Scrump, the little doll that she has. You see it on screen once in the
Yeah,
beginning in her backpack. And then when Stitch is going crazy in her room in the middle of the movie, she says, "Stop, she's coming from surgery," just like the other one. But in the cartoon, she made Scrump to try and fit in with the other girls, right? So she
yeah,
didn't have the money to buy like a real doll, so she made her own. But she's like, but the head is too big, so I'm pretending that a bug laid eggs in her ears and she's upset because she only has a few more days to live. Like that's dark as fuck and really weird. So that adds to her
yeah.
like weird, not normal kind of thing that adds to
She
her being feeling so alone and needing Stitch in the first place. So that's
She has
that.
a whole bunch. She has a pickle jar full of forks that she dressed up as the other girls in the class that she violently shook in a jar,
Yeah.
like in the movie. Like she's a little weird,
So she
but they don't, that doesn't come through.
speaking wise and thinking wise and creativity wise, she's obviously very smart, and especially throughout
Yeah,
Lilo and Stitch, the series, she's very smart and intelligent, and you don't get that off this girl. Like, I mean, first of all, they do this a lot. Okay, I know some people think it's cute, but I don't. Okay, but the girl playing Lilo has a very big speech impediment, and
yeah.
Lilo's character is that she's very like she'll she's very direct with how how she talks in the movie. My friends need to be punished, and then she's legs in her ear. She's very well spoken in the movie, and that and I and the biggest part about this is that she doesn't the little girl, she doesn't say and do things because that's how Lilo says and does things, and because like that's natural. It's not natural, or like it doesn't just follow from the character. Everything that the little girl says and does, she says and does it like someone told her to say and do it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's
Like,
very
and they're like,
like
oh, and you even bring up the thing where it's like a child, they're just a child. You can't expect them to be
yeah,
like this
yeah.
great actor and
It's a
everything. But
kid. Are
like,
you really gonna do that? What would you prefer? What I prefer is that they not make the movie because it was good and better the first
also,
time.
there are good child actors.
Yes.
There, or at least there used to be. Like you could have a younger kid and have them do it, or you could have cast someone who isn't actually 6.
Yeah. Well, so here's the problem with this is that you look at the Lilo and Stitch movie and it's all compromises. They compromised on, Gantu, which led big gaping holes in the plot and like a ripple effect throughout other characters, Cobra Bubbles, Jumba, like it changes everything removing Gantu because they had to compromise because they couldn't put him in the movie.
Yeah.
They couldn't.
So
They
it's
can't.
it's
Hang on. They can't render
go
peanut.
ahead.
They don't want to. They can't render peanut butter underwater or whatever. So they made compromises with that. They wanted like most of the cast to be like native Hawaiians, so they cut out like all the tourist characters, to be
Yeah.
them as well. And they didn't want, like, they couldn't get the CGI enough to keep Jumba and Pleakley as aliens in disguises the whole movie, so they had to compromise there, and they couldn't get someone who's as well spoken and good at acting as the girl who voiced Lilo in the original movie was, so they had to compromise there. And with compromise on top of compromise on top of compromise on top of compromise, it's not even the same thing anymore, and it's not even the same quality anymore. So why would you do that? And the answer is money, because you are stupid enough to go see it anyways.
To be fair, we were stupid enough to go see it anyways.
We're obligated to. We got the show.
Fair. You know what's funny is that in the original movie, uh did you the girl that voiced Lilo was still actually a child?
Yeah, but she at that point, I don't know if it was
She was
before or
8.
after, but she was the little sister on Donnie Darko, sorry.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, she is. But
But she's gotten like serious roles, and she's had like,
it was like literally right before that.
yeah. So,
But so I was talking about this with my dad earlier.
mhm.
When I was talking to my dad about it. It's one thing if they wanted to make these changes because this is the change they wanted to make and write a movie around that, they could have possibly made it work. If they would have made this movie written around the end, actually written around the ending that they wanted. But you can tell this wasn't the original ending they wanted for the movie because by getting rid of Gantu, it made it necessary. They had to change the movie out of necessity rather than out of
Yeah.
want. And that's a problem.
Yeah.
Like that's the biggest problem with this. They
If
did this out of necessity rather than want.
Yeah. So like with like multiple different things, you run into the end result of we couldn't. We couldn't do
Yeah.
Gantu, we couldn't do peanut butter on the sandwich, and we couldn't do Jumba and Pleakley in costumes. Then don't do it. Then don't do the movie. Those are
Just don't do it. Yeah.
not the sandwich. Obviously, I'm just adding that in as a
Yeah.
joke. But Jumba and Pleakley and Gantu are big, big, big parts of the movie, and if you can't do them properly, then don't do them at all.
Yeah. It's just whatever. Honestly, we've talked about this for a while now. I'd rather just move on. There's only so much we can say without you just going to go and like watch it yourself. Like I find it
To ride the
baffling
horror
that the
coaster
audience
that it
the
is.
the audience score for this movie on Rotten Tomatoes is a 93%, but if you look up Lilo and Stitch review on YouTube, the first 15 things you will find will say in the thumbnail or the title that the movie is bad.
Yeah, like there's not a whole lot of people out there saying that it's good. Like I follow a lot of channels that have a lot of differing viewpoints on a lot of things, and they all say that it's terrible. And I agree. I agree. Even the people that I think, like, if anyone that I follow would like this, it would be this person. And even they hate it.
Yeah.
So, anyways, let's move on into the rankings here. Isaac, you're the one with the Stitch tattoo, so you have jurisdiction on going first here.
I'm giving this a 3 out of 10. I was thinking about possibly giving it a 4 because we did talk a lot about the negatives. There were a couple moments that I was like, okay, this is kind of fun, and like if I
Stitch.
shut my brain off, I can do that. Yeah, it's just Stitch being Stitch. But like if you spend more than 3 seconds thinking about this movie, you can clearly see how like almost little soul there is in this movie. Like there's like little to no actual soul in this. The original movie had it was so moving, and this couldn't move a fucking pamphlet across a table. Like
Yeah. I'm giving this a 2 out of 10. Having seen the original, like, directly the night before, I can pick up on, like, singular lines that they changed for like no reason. Like when
Yeah.
Lilo is telling David that Nani likes his butt and his fancy hair. She says, "I know. I read her text messages instead of I read her diary," which doesn't make sense
Yeah.
because it's like, oh, who has a diary anymore? I'm like, that's a universally understood thing. It's not like people aren't gonna know what a diary is.
Yeah.
Anyways, um, it's not good. This is probably one of
This is the worst. This is the worst live action remake out of all of them.
yeah,
And I'm
and
looking
they're
at
all
you, Jungle
bad,
Book.
and they're all
I'm
bad.
looking at you, Jungle Book.
Isaac, you were there for Little Mermaid.
Fair. That one's actually worse than the Jungle Book.
Yeah, we haven't seen Snow White, and we're not going to. But like,
No, I'm not.
this is a horrible bastardization, not of just the movie, but of the core message of the movie is just deleted.
Exactly.
The core message of the movie is allow your little sister to become property of the state and let your family fall apart for your own personal needs. Ain't that a great message to be teaching to the youth? Round of applause. Round of applause. We hate it.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to our next movie of the night, we have the newest Mission Impossible movie. Mission Impossible 8. Final Reckoning. Take her away, Isaac.
Ethan Hunt and the IMF team race against time to find the Entity, a rogue artificial intelligence that can destroy mankind.
Nice.
So, flashback to our last
Did
video
we
that we
even...
did. Did we do a video for Final Reckoning? We were
What
doing
is...
it by then, were we not?
I don't think we were. I think when we went to see
No,
it, we
we
didn't
had to have
have...
been.
No.
We had to have had it. Oh,
No.
when did
No. No. No, no, no. We didn't. We didn't.
did we not? We did not have the podcast for Dead Reckoning. Are you kidding me?
Nope. August 28th, 2022, I believe is
Movie
when we
came
started.
out. The movie came out July 10th, 2023.
Yeah, it was my
So
birthday.
we have to have we have to have a video on Dead
Nope.
Reckoning. There's no way we
Nope.
don't.
Nope. August of 2023. That's right. Because we're coming up on two
Okay.
years now. So August 2025 will be our 2 year
So we started
anniversary.
it like right at
Like a
like
month
our
after.
next movie.
We saw
Yeah,
Blue
damn.
Beetle right before our first
Okay.
episode. So like that
Here,
was the...
give me one moment just for a thing. I'm just gonna read the synopsis real quick of the last movie,
Yeah.
really quick, because this is a two-part thing.
Yeah.
So this is the second part of the last movie that they did. So this says Ethan Hunt and the IMF team must track down a terrifying new weapon that threatens all of humanity if it falls into the wrong hands. With control of the future and the fate of the world at stake, a deadly race around the globe begins. Confronted by a mysterious, all-powerful enemy, the Entity, as was done, Ethan is forced to consider that nothing can matter more than the mission, not even the lives of those he cares about most. So
Yeah.
the last movie was more about Ethan is that and last line exactly is him putting the mission above the people he cares about,
Mm-hmm.
like because he realizes that by prioritizing saving his friends over the mission, it's jeopardizing the mission to the point where in this movie he goes as far as putting all the faith in his friends to make sure this mission goes right. Like he puts 100% faith in them.
Yeah. So, we weren't around for the last movie, so I'll stipulate this. Isaac is big fan of the Mission Impossible series. Like, it's one of his
I
favorite
love the
action
Mission
series.
Impossible movies.
Me, I had never seen a single one of them until gearing up for Dead Reckoning in
Dead Reckoning,
2023.
yes.
Yeah. So I had literally just marathoned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 all the way up, and that was my first exposure to it. And I didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched a recap of the last one to prepare for this one because I know they're two parters.
Yeah.
But 2 years ago, what that was my first and only watch of all six of those movies. So they're not
Yeah.
as ingrained in my memory and knowledge as well as they would be for you. Um,
Yeah.
so to me, Mission Impossible movies all sort of blend together, especially 4, 5,
That's
and
fair.
6. They all kind of just meld into
Oh yeah,
one
they do.
big
Yes.
thing. Um, so I kind of feel the same way about all of them. Is that they're not like yeah, they're
Oh,
not super cool or impactful, but they are like a very enjoyable ride. Even if like
they are.
much like many other spy movies and like espionage movies where like I kind of don't understand what's happening because they'll be in like a boardroom and they'll be talking and I'll be the one bored in the room, you know what I mean? And then like I'll just completely miss something that they said. Like they could be like in the middle of the plan and I'll have no idea what the plan is, you know, because I wasn't listening.
Yeah.
That's more on me than it is on the movie, but even with that, they are super enjoyable. Like I really liked a lot of parts in this movie as well as all the other ones.
Which one would you say was your favorite of all of them?
Oh, three. Three's the best
Which
one.
is actually which is really good because 3 is the one that's like really important for this one, actually.
It is, yeah. I actually remembered
So,
most of the stuff of that.
yeah. So the what I like about this movie is it does a pretty good job of like I mean there's the opening sequence of the movie where they like show you a bunch of things of all the stuff that Ethan has done over all the movies.
Mm-hmm.
And but this movie actually makes all of them like a lot of them matter, which I think is really cool. They left a lot. They took stuff that were throwaways from the first movie. They had
Mm-hmm.
like in the third movie, the whole point of the movie is Ethan tried to retire and he ended up being forced out of retirement by this dude that wanted him to steal something for him called the Rabbit's Foot. That was some sort of a doomsday device. It's billed as like some sort of like maybe nuclear, maybe like, you know, nerve agent, gas thing, whatever. But he tasks Ethan with saving it or he's going to kill his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And the movie ends with us not knowing what the Rabbit's Foot is. Like we just we'll never know what that is. This movie brings it back around to find out that it wasn't the entity itself that was in there, but what ended up happening is because in the last movie it starts with there's a sub that's testing like it is an invisible sub basically, and they are using this sonar this like predictive algorithm thing something in this room to basically render the sub invisible. What ended up happening is someone ended up using this computer virus that is the rabbit's foot. The rabbit's foot was a computer virus. They ended up using it to hack that sub, and the virus mixed with like the software they were using for to make this sub invisible, and it created a sentient AI that is actively sowing discourse across the globe and trying to eradicate human life as we know it. This is hands down the biggest stakes any Mission Impossible movie has had.
Mm-hmm.
And I I really hope they stop here. I'm hoping this really means it says the final reckoning. I hope it is because I don't want them to go any further than this because the thing about the Mission Impossible movies is every movie gets bigger.
Mm-hmm.
It gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. They go bigger, they take more risks. It's cool. And that's what I like. And the they've gone as big as they can. They stopped a global extinction event.
Mm-hmm.
They can't go any bigger than this.
Counterpoint. Thanos.
But no, this is just a. I like that they brought back a character that a lot of people largely have forgotten about from the first movie.
Me.
Yeah, you. Like I thought it's cool because even so, like they end up having to in order to find this sub. which is somewhere in the North Atlantic Sea. Like they have to go to this listening station like in Alaska to find a recording of like the impact that the bomb would have had, like the sub would have had with the ocean floor.
Mhm.
Like, so they can find it. When they get there, it's the guy from the CIA Black Vault in the first movie when Ethan steals the knock list. And in that movie, like right after he gets away with it, there's a moment where Kittredge is talking with this other guy and he's like, does anyone know about that? Does anyone else know about this? Just us and the technician. He's like, okay, I want him on a listening at a listening station in Alaska by the end of the day. It was literally like a throwaway line in
And
the
he said,
first
"Get this
movie,
fuck
and they
on the first train to Alaska right now."
yeah, like get him out of here because like we don't want him
Basic
to say
rabbit
anything to
hole him.
anyone.
Just throw him
Yeah,
away.
basically, and to bring him back this way in such an important role to what they're trying to do, like they did a phenomenal job. One thing that a lot of movies really don't do when it comes to global like big huge events is they don't really nail home the weight of it. It's something that I kind of didn't like about Endgame. Not Endgame. Not Endgame. Infinity War. Like they bill Thanos as this big giant threat. You don't really get exactly how much of a threat he is until after he snaps his fingers. Because then like, oh, like you know what he's trying to do, but there's nothing to like there's not a lot of build up to it, kind of like in the sense of
I mean, he
like in this
threw
movie
a
you have
moon at Iron Man.
fair, but you know what I mean, like it's
Yeah,
it kind of I don't know.
they make the threat visible here. They have the whole map up in like the president's like war room or whatever, and it shows you throughout the movie one by one like every one of the major countries like warheads being taken control of by the AI. So you see that ticking clock and you see how bad it's getting throughout the
Like
movie.
you can see the DEFCON counter going all the way from like it starts the movie at like 3 or 4 and at the end of it it's at DEFCON 1.
Mhm.
Like it's extremely visible and like this is the other thing that they do in all of these movies is they make the like success of the mission, especially since like 6, I want to say, like 5 or 6, they make the them succeeding thing like they cut it closer and closer with every movie.
Yeah.
Like I think they cut it with like 3 seconds in Fallout. Like they had like 3 seconds left, and Ethan like armed the thing, and then it stopped it, so it didn't go off.
Mhm.
This movie is literally the last second.
Yeah.
Like it's literally the last second. Like they could not cut it any closer. I thought that was really good. The amount of times this movie has where there is no dialogue, yet my fucking chest is like tight with like anticipation
Mhm.
because you don't know what's gonna happen. This movie actually, with it being called The Final Reckoning, you could think there's a chance they might not succeed. Like that's the cool thing about the Mission Impossible movies. Even though you know there's more, like because you're always like, oh, of course he's gonna win, because that's the thing. But like they cut it closer and closer every time, where you start thinking like, oh, maybe they will just pull the wool over our eyes and just fucking kill everyone here, and it's actually like, you know what I
Well,
mean? Like
Well, I knew
in
they
the
weren't
moment,
gonna.
I
I
mean,
knew in the movie they weren't gonna like detonate the whole planet. Like it was aware that they were gonna do it. They were gonna succeed. But what you don't know is who's actually gonna make it through because they start the movie
yeah.
off with Ving Rhames' character dying. Like
Hmm.
he dies. Okay, like there are characters that are going to die. And with it being the final movie, it absolutely could have been Ethan Hunt. Like he could have like
Yeah.
sacrificed himself or like in
This
his last.
I thought this movie was gonna end with Ethan dying.
Yeah, me too.
Like I really
You're lagging behind. the three people who stayed behind at the with the bomb like were like the three least important characters, like value wise, because I honestly
Yeah,
I didn't know who that other guy was. And then there was the old guy from the first movie, and then his wife. Um,
yeah.
so like
Literally all characters. Like
little small
one of those
value.
characters we you have a character that was invented in this movie, one that hasn't been seen since movie 1, and you have character that was introduced in last movie as the partner of the guy that was hunting them down actively and was still hunting them down actively till earlier this movie.
Yeah. So
Like
honestly, it would probably be fine if all these people died, and then they end up living. So like everybody lived at the end, I guess,
yeah,
which is fine.
it's a really nice thing. I don't want them to make more. I I think the Mission Impossible movies is one of the reasons why I actually like Sean Penn.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ginger guy. I think he's the reason. Oh, sorry, not Sean Penn.
Yeah. What?
Simon Pegg.
Yeah.
I apologize.
I was like, wait, no, that's because I literally just watched Being John Malkovich today, and
Yeah.
the writer director Sean Penn, he had a cameo in that movie, and I was like, oh yeah, that's cool.
Oh yeah.
And then and then you just said, I'm like, huh?
No, Simon Pegg is what I
Simon
meant to
Pegg,
say.
yeah.
Sorry. You know, it's I like him. He's got a good like sense of humor, but when he plays a serious role, he can do it pretty well.
I guess
Like he's really good in these movies.
he's all right. I mean, like, I'm never gonna watch Shaun of the Dead, no matter what anyone says to me.
I know you won't. I know you won't watch Shaun of the Dead, and I
And
know I
then
won't be able to get you to watch Hot Fuzz or At World's End.
I tried watching absolutely anything, and like, oh my god, that movie's a fucking slog. It's so not
Well,
entertaining.
that's your problem. You tried to watch that movie. I mean, the other reason why I like Simon Pegg is that he's the voice of. I'm pretty sure he's the voice of Buck in the Ice Age movies.
Is he?
Buck's one of my favorite characters. Yeah. But no. Anyway, back to this movie. No, this movie did a very good job. All the action was super solid. The risks they were taking were really great. Like the whole thing, like you can talk about, oh my god, like they actually pulled this off. Like they actually got lucky enough, and it's like that's the whole thing. They're risking everything. Like Ethan died for a moment there.
Yeah.
Like he did. Like the entire underwater scene was terrifying,
Yeah,
actually.
I leaned over to you and I'm like, how the fuck did they make this like more terrifying to me than all of Last Breath combined?
Yeah,
Because
it was
there are just like
intense.
horrible, horrible wide shots of just inky black water and then just like absolute pit of nothingness below. And then the background is filled with like very like low droning like bass noise, and like
Yeah.
it's very unsettling and scary. And then the submarine starts like rolling like towards the edge and like s- lowers down into the pit, and I'm just like, ah. Yeah.
And then even when he escapes and he has to abandon the suit that is supposed to keep him alive or at
Yeah.
least increase his chances of living, like I'm sorry, that shot where he's just like curled up under the ice is probably the coolest fucking shot of the whole movie.
Uh-huh.
Like it's in all the promotional material, but god is that fucking cool.
Yeah,
Like that is
all the under the ice shots were really really cool. Like even like them brushing the snow away from the ice to see the key under there. Like those are just cool shots, man.
yeah, that's the best thing about Mission Impossible. All the movies are cinematically fucking beautiful.
Mhm.
I love all of them. They're so much fun.
There was only like a small thing that I noticed that just rubbed me the wrong way about the movie. And it's the death of Gabriel, right? Gabriel was his name?
Yeah, Gabriel
Yeah,
was his name.
the
Yeah,
bad guy.
this
I
was
like
another character I didn't care about, but go
no,
ahead.
so his death I have nothing wrong with, cuz he's like, "Ah ha ha, I'm getting away." And then like literally he falls off the plane and just smashes his head into like the back fin of the plane and then just like cuts his brain in half on it. And then he just falls dead out of the thing, which I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with like the zero amount of like
Impact.
yeah, I was gonna say fanfare, but impact, yeah, as well. Because it's like it's literally like you could have done it where it's like, doom, like there's a big like stinger with that, and then like ominous music as he falls, and there's something like that. They could have like drummed it up a little bit more or whatever. But no, he's like, ha ha ha, I'm getting away, and then it's like, and then he falls, and there's like
Yeah.
next to
My
nothing to go
biggest
with it.
problem with
I was like, you could
my
have brushed that one up a bit.
Gabriel as a whole is actually my biggest issue with these last two movies, because in other movies they do have characters like in 6 and 7, I think it is, or maybe it's 5 and 7, but they have the leader of the syndicate that they have, and like he's been recruiting presumed dead agents from multiple clandestine entities and everything, and like he's seen as a huge threat, like he's like one step ahead all the time. Gabriel is a guy that they invented. They were like, oh, he's from the beginning, back when he was offered the choice and everything. He never really felt as threatening as those guys do, because the problem is you have him working for the entity,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have him switch to wanting to control the entity. But even in both of those states, he never seems really like in the first one, it's not him who's smart, it's the entity that's smart.
Yeah.
So the only threatening thing is Ethan's trauma with him, and like just how good of an agent he is. Like how good of a killer he is. That's really all you have threat-wise for this man. And this one, it's more of the authority he commands around like the people he's able to move around, and like the way he's able to slip away from Ethan
Mm-hmm.
is that. But like again, they kind of just made it like they kind of didn't make him feel like enough of a threat, in my opinion,
I
because they
agree.
were focused on the entity. They were focused on making the entity the threat, which, by the way, they achieved greatly. Like that is actually a genuinely terrifying threat to have
Yeah.
in a movie. Like, imagine if something like that existed in real life. The world would destroy itself, which is what it's trying to do here as well. Like it wouldn't need to do all of this. It just dies. Like it's a pretty good antagonist, but the problem is you have two antagonists that you're adding in here, and you're trying to make him seem like a threat. So when he dies, it's not like you don't even get like yeah, fuck that guy. Like you don't even get that, because it's
It was
like
almost
okay,
as if you were meant to laugh at his death rather than be excited or impacted
triumphant.
by it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. I don't really have much else to say with this. Like, it's just a good watch. I love it.
Yeah. It was a good send off. Moving on into the rankings, I'm gonna give this pretty much what I give most of the Mission Impossible movies, a nice 7 out of 10. Very enjoyable watch, but unlikely to be something that I would, uh, throw on at a whim. I would have to be
Yeah.
gearing
I
myself
have to be
up for the
watching
next
all.
one or watching all of them at once.
Yeah. I I'm also giving this movie a pretty. I'm giving it more of a high 7 out of 10. Like it's not quite at an 8. I thought it was very very well done. There are quite a few Mission Impossible movies I would put it at an 8, because they're just so well done.
Oh, the
But
third one.
this movie, well, the third one is definitely an 8.
Yeah.
Uh, I really like the fifth one as well. The fifth one is another one of my favorite. Plus Fallout. Fallout's great. Fallout's an 8.
What was the Henry Cavill one?
That's Fallout.
Okay, I like that one.
That one was good.
Everyone
Uh,
fucking shits on him because he fucking reloaded his fists in the fight. I was like, that was hard
that
as
was
fuck.
hard as
That was
fuck.
hard as
Fucking.
fuck, dude.
I'm sorry if you're
Hell yeah.
if you're like fighting a guy and he goes and then it comes back up, you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah. It's like,
Like
oh, was he reloading his arms? I'm like, yes. Yes, he
He had to
was.
reload these guns.
He had fresh
Like
hands for you. And shut up, man.
exactly. But no, this was a lot of fun, and it's kind of cool that Tom Cruise got to live his dream. Like he wanted to play Ethan Hunt like well into his 60s, and he has accomplished that goal.
Yeah.
So it's cool. I'm hoping this is finally the end, and if it is, this is a great send off.
Yeah. All right. Moving into our last movie of the night, we have Friendship. Isaac, take us away.
The wrong movie up. Sorry. All right. A man tries to befriend his charismatic new neighbor, but it soon threatens to ruin both of their lives.
It ruined my life too, I'll have you say.
This movie was abysmal.
Oh my god, it doesn't deserve all the reviews that it has on Rotten Tomatoes or anything else. This movie's so bad. This is such a
This movie
inane
is
drama.
cringe.
It's
And I don't
such
mean that in the
a
I
drag
don't
to
mean that in this I don't mean cringe in the sense of oh that's so cringe. I mean that as in physically I left the theater. I left
I
this theater 3 times.
well
I wanted to leave. I wanted to physically leave. I left at one point to go to the bathroom.
and
And
you
like
came
when I
back and I
came
was like,
back
yeah, nothing. You didn't miss anything. Nothing happened.
and like 20 minutes later, I left again because I literally leaned over to Cal and I'm like, "Yo, bro, I'm about to fucking walk out
And
because
and then
this is just not great."
and then right after you said that, they had like a really like bad cringe joke and you're just like, I'm out. And I genuinely
No, no, no. So what happened is that okay? So movie happens, bunch of random shit happens, but the point that at which I walked out a second time is when he he ends up movie starts and he ends up like trying to make friends with the neighbor, and the neighbor at one point brings him down to like these sewers that lead into City Hall
yeah.
as like a bonding moment kind of thing. It's like, oh, that's cool. So later in the movie when he like everything's flailing, he takes his wife down into the sewers and she gets lost and he loses her. And then the cops find her, firefighters, whatever, they find her and they throw a welcome home party. The point at which I
Oh yeah.
fucking walk out is so at this party already there's a scene where this guy like walks into the garage where he's like playing with his drums or whatever, and the guy's like, hey man, you get nice drums. And like, oh thanks man. And he's talking to him, he's like, where's the bathroom? He's like, right over here. And he's like, hey, what was it like to ditch your wife? Like your wife is so fucking hot, I would never get rid of her. Like, and it's like, first of all, this guy's a douche for doing this. Also, he acted in like a "Who are you?" like thing. It's like doing the Tim Robinson thing, and it's like, whatever. So he feeling insecure about that. So he goes upstairs and he like does this thing where he tries to like summon the room, and then he just goes, "Hey," he's like, "I'm gonna give a toast to my wife." It starts making the whole
He
fucking thing about him.
stands up on a chair and starts like giving a speech about all this, and I'm just like, man, no. And you just got up and left. I didn't think you were coming back.
I didn't want to. I honestly didn't. Only reason I came back like 10 minutes later.
You didn't
Only
miss
reason
anything.
I didn't either. Oh, no. I remember exactly the part that I definitely left on. The last thing I remember in that scene is when her fucking ex-boyfriend starts talking about, oh, the light of my life left. And I'm just like, fuck this.
Yeah.
I don't. Am I supposed to feel bad for anyone in this movie? I honestly could not tell you a single damn thing. It's just this dude who is desperate for a friend and is a cuck of a husband. Just doesn't. Just doing cringe shit through the whole movie. He met a cool guy, wanted to be like cool guy, and then just like over attaches himself, borderline stalking behavior, and like breaks into the dude's house at one point, fucking just starts doing everything that this guy's doing. Like it's just then even the movie started going good for him. Like, yeah, his wife left. He bought his wife a new van and they had this nice moment and he went to go thing. And he actively fucks it up by trying to destroy this dude's thing. And like he pulls a gun on all these guys and it's like, what am I supposed to feel bad for this fucking psycho?
Isaac's mad.
I am. I hate that I spent I hate that I spent time of my life on this.
I don't know who you're meant to side with because the wife is terrible, the main character's terrible, the cool neighbor is terrible, the son is terrible, the guy he buys a phone and drugs from is terrible. All of his
Actually, I
coworkers are
recognized him.
terrible. All
Did
of
you
his
recognize the drug
friends
dealer?
are... No.
It's Billy Brick,
Who?
the guy who wrote Hell of a Summer alongside of Finn Wolfhard.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. I recognized him like in the movie. I thought it was
Yeah,
kind of funny.
No.
But
Yeah,
no, like you even said it as you were walking out of the theater. The parts that aren't bad are just cringe, and the parts that aren't cringe are really bad.
no, I said boring. The parts that aren't
Oh,
cringe
boring.
are boring. The parts that aren't boring are cringe. That's the best summary of this movie.
Yeah.
And it's not. And cringe is not a good feeling. You don't go to a movie to if like movies are meant to evoke emotions, yes, but cringe should not be one of those emotions unless it's
And I'm
being
not
used as a vehicle to set up for something else, you know. But
the
there's
worst.
nothing but cringe, and then boring to
So
break it up, and then just makes you feel cringe again.
so here's the thing. There are certain types of cringe that are okay. Cringing from pain, like a person experiencing pain. That's why like AFV and ridiculousness and like old YouTube did well because
Well,
you
that's
just were
because
able to
you're
see people like
laughing at
getting
it as well. It's like, oh,
yeah, yeah,
that hurts,
exactly.
but it's also
That's what they
really
were
funny.
trying. I think that's what they were trying to do. But I'm sorry, cringe only works if it lasts for less than like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Like if you're cringing, like, ugh, I don't like that, and then you're laughing about it, fine, whatever. Or it's gone. You know, like you cringe for like 5 seconds and it's gone. This is literally like 30 seconds to like 3 minute scenes of him just doing nothing but cringe behavior. And it's like, oh, what are you do? What are you doing? What? Why? Like, what? And it's not even him doing disgusting shit. It's just him being a fucking freak.
It was like, man, don't say things like that. Like, what are you doing? And it goes on for too long. Like, you'll see, like, cringe compilations on YouTube because people will enjoy that. But most of those are, like, seconds long.
Yeah.
Like it'll be, like, over. You'll be like, oh, look at that guy. Oh, why are you doing that, man? That's so weird. Anyways, moving on. And then that's over. But with this guy, he's so fucking cringe and weird and like, man, please stop being who you are. And then you just have to sit with him for the rest of the movie. You gotta follow that man home.
Yeah, it kind of sucks because he just. I like Tim Robinson. I like the stuff he's done so far. Like I like a lot of his like skits and stuff. Granted, I haven't consumed a lot of his stuff, but most of the stuff that crosses my social media feed, I find funny. The drive-through thing, that's pretty funny.
Dude, the
And he's got
drive-thru
some
is,
other
like,
stuff.
peak comedy. It's so funny.
Yeah.
I like when the
Yeah.
guy comes back and he's like pounding on his window and he's like I'm not doing it. Like he comes to face him and then he's just like, come on, man, let's take it so. Like he doesn't even see him there. He's just like,
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
with this line, man? Like he can give
Yeah.
good comedy, and like I don't know if he wrote that scene or was just acting in it, but like the delivery was great, and like he was just funny, right? Like he's capable of doing that, but he didn't bring any of that into this movie. He was just a cringe freak, not even in a funny way. He was just weird, and like I feel bad for anyone watching this movie.
So I was wrong. So here's the biggest issue I think is that I'm looking at this now. When I went to go see this, I thought I should have looked into it more. I thought this was a movie that Tim Robinson made or at least helped make. Like he wrote it or something. he had nothing in the writing department for this. So
Oh,
they
good.
cast
That's
him to be
probably
this character.
that's probably why
They
it's not
cast
funny.
him to be this character. They made him be this character. He was typecast to be this. And it doesn't work. Like, yes, I will say he did the job he was hired to do well.
Yeah,
It's just unfortunately the job he was hired to be is a fucking weirdo.
yeah. And again, I gotta stress, not in a good way.
Like honestly, like yeah, Paul Rudd's character, he's like he does drugs, he breaks into places, he's a weatherman or whatever, and like he does all these things and he acts all cool and like
He's
later in the movie
bald.
there's a part where he's yeah, like he took him or what's his name, Craig or whatever the
Craig.
fuck, I don't give a shit. He took the guy's advice and asked to be on the morning section, and he's like, and later in the movie, he's like, I hate the mornings. I can't even go back. They're all mean, like, and all this stuff. And it's like, okay, and then you find out he's got like a toupee or whatever, and like, and even at the end of the movie, if they would have built this as the neighbor subtle like manipulating this guy through the whole movie and he's like a psychopath
Mm-hmm.
or whatever and not just Craig is insane.
It almost would have been a better movie from Paul Rudd's perspective because it's like this cool guy and he's like cool at first, right? And then this other guy comes over and he's like, "Hey, man, you know what? You're all right. I'll be friends with you." And then like slowly throughout the movie, he starts being like more and more weird and like he gets less and less comfortable around him, so he tries very nicely to break it off, but the other guy's not getting the clue here.
The point,
He's still finding ways to
there's even
come
the
back
point later in
around.
the movie where he's like, you broke into my house
Yeah,
and like all this
and
stuff,
then it makes
like
him
honestly
snap.
you are correct. If this movie would follow Paul Rudd, this would be a much more interesting movie. If they would have
Probably,
cast this
yeah.
the other way around and made Tim Robinson be the increasingly like creepier neighbor and like stuff
I
like
mean, he
that,
is.
that would have been a much better role for him.
No, like
That would have been a much better like
keep the
use him.
roles, but follow Paul Rudd's point of view instead,
Yeah,
where he's like a normal guy who's cool and funny, but there's this weird neighbor that he gave a shot to one time. But then like he keeps like getting too like obsessive and weird, and he's like tries to break it off, but he's not having it. You know what I mean? Like that
yeah,
route,
no,
like
that would
that,
be
cause all the stuff around Craig's life is so fucking boring. Please have
yeah.
anything else happen. I don't know.
Is that his son? Is that his son? Because he calls him because
No,
like
you left
his son
you
calls him Craig.
no, you left the movie and then he took his son to go pick mushrooms in the woods and then he ate one that was poisonous and then they were at the mall and then he threw up in his soda cup and then the kid's like, "Oh my god, dad, I told you those were poisonous." So yeah, that is his son. He calls him dad.
Okay, my bad. Cause like the way they say it and everything, like it's just I don't know. I felt like maybe it was like a
No,
because like the
I
kid was a
don't
lot
put it
closer with the
past you.
mom.
I was guessing at as well. Like, is he a stepdad? Just because of like the horrible like gap
You kiss each other on the mouth.
in the relationship that he has with his son. It's like non-existent. Like he
Yeah.
only talks to him like in passing.
Also, the fact this man's job is to get people addicted to items.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's
This
not a
this
good
movie's
movie.
just bad. I've bitched about it quite loudly too often. Oh yeah, and also the wife just in the very opening scene admitting that her husband can't give her an orgasm.
Yeah, that was not great.
Just like, and he even looks at her because like they make it seem like they bill this movie as a guy who is in like situations where he's like, that's a fucked up thing to say.
Yeah,
And like
like
I thought the movie was gonna slowly become a thing where he starts calling them out on it,
yeah, I thought this was gonna
and
be
it
like
doesn't get there.
everyone shits on him like unjustifiably. Like his wife is, hanging out with her ex boyfriend a lot, and his son doesn't really like him. And finally, he's got this cool guy who's giving him a chance that he deserves and seeing him for him. And then something happens where he doesn't want to hang out anymore, and he's like, "No, but you were like the only person I had, and
Yeah.
now
They
I have no
pulled the
one
wool over
again."
your eyes with the trailers for this movie because they bill it as they just dump him for no reason. No, they had viable and very plentiful reason to kick this man
Yeah,
out of
no,
the
he
group.
was being quite a freak for no reason. Like, and I'm just like,
He
man,
knocked the
but
guy
so
out, and then instead of just apologizing, he's like, "Oh, I know what my punishment is." Grabs a bar of soap. Is like, "I've been a bad boy. I'm a bad boy." And while
yeah,
he's
it's
chewing on soap.
yeah. And honestly, you could have just said like called them the next morning or like, "Hey man, like I had too much to drink. That's why I don't drink. Like I'm sorry for whatever I did. That's not me. I this is why I don't drink," kind of thing. And you probably could have saved face with that. You should just be like, "I get weird when I drink,"
Yeah.
and just blame it on that and smooth it over. But no, he was just weird because like you could have saved this if he was like a empathetical character, if you could feel for him. Like he's just a decent guy, but like everyone's just shitting on him for no reason. And like they took away the one guy who was giving him a chance. He doesn't want to hang out with him anymore. And then that's where that break
Oh,
happens. But he's kind of a prick and a freak the whole
yeah.
movie, and it's impossible for you to feel bad for him at any point,
And
which
even when
just
you get to
results
the
in this
point where he's
cringe.
getting better, he immediately reverts back to it.
Yeah, he was getting better, and he's just like, "Nope, fuck it, I'm gonna go ruin my entire life. Let's go." And then he
Yeah,
does. All right,
it's
I,
fucking stupid.
we're fucking done with this shit.
Yeah,
Okay, let's get out of
I'm
here.
done with this shit. All right,
Moving
I
on to
want to
the
rank first.
rankings. Moving on to the
I'm gonna rank
rankings.
first. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the first fucking one of the year.
I mean, we're recording these out of order, so that might not be true by the time these go up. But
Fair enough, but it's still a one. I don't give a fuck. This is awful. I'm putting it below Peter Pan Neverland Nightmare. I'd rather watch Joyride than this shit again. Holy fuck.
that's saying something.
Oh my
We
god.
walked out of that.
I know. And
You
I
came
wanted to
back
out
for
of this
this.
one.
Mathematically,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be so.
I'm
But
aware. I'm aware. Honestly, that one was just you wanna know why I came back? I didn't get to finish that thought. I came back because I felt bad about leaving you in there.
I'm fine. I'm
I'm
fine.
like
Don't worry.
if we're gonna walk out, we're gonna walk out together.
Yeah. Well, we're here. And what an ending we
Oh my
got.
god.
No, I'm also gonna give this a 1. This was a slog. Like I said, uh, you know, quote for the movie here. Like this is the only way to describe it. The parts that weren't boring were cringe, and the parts that weren't cringe were boring. That's the best and only way to describe this movie. It like I can't really find anything redeeming about it. I think they had one joke that was like nasal exhale funny, and
Yeah, you said you thought it was funny that he gets like this drug and like he goes on a trip
yeah.
and literally all he does is just go to Subway and partially order a sub.
Yeah, I thought like that was like nasally exhale funny, but like not anything I would like write home about or actually laugh about. Like I was like, huh.
I have this saved in my list of movies. I have Friendship saved as Friendship, I guess. Cuz there's nothing friendship about this movie. It's just a man's slow descent into madness.
And not
And it's
even in a
not even a
cool
good
way like the
way.
surfer was. This was just
It's
this
just a
guy
man.
doing uncalled for shit for like almost 2 hours. Whatever. That'll wrap us up here. That'll wrap us up here.
Yes.
Moving on. Isaac, can you give our viewers a little sneak preview at what we can be looking at next time?
Next time we should have the movie. At least we will definitely have the movie Bring Her Back. It's a movie we've been kind of following a bit. Looks like it'll be pretty fun. We're also gonna see if we can get The Last Rodeo in the new Neil McDonough Angel Studios movie. That looks like a lot of fun. And the new Karate Kid movie. I'm actually kind of excited about this one. It's the return of Ralph Macchio. And Jackie Chan's in this. He was in the last Karate Kid movie that came out. So hot take. I actually like the Jaden Smith Karate Kid movie.
Crazy.
I actually do.
That's crazy.
I thought it was fun.
Because in my opinion, Jaden Smith could not act his own way through his own front door by pretending to be Will Smith's son.
Well, see, the problem was the problem was they don't cast him for who he is in the new Karate Kid movie, or I guess not really new anymore. They cast him as a whiny little bitch, and that's what he was.
He wore a castle on his head. Anyways.
Yeah. All right.
Anyways, guys, please subscribe because it really helps out the channel. It keeps us going back to the theater and bringing these videos back here to you. And until next time, guys, that's a wrap.
Roll credits.